this is going to be our first game of the night here between these two players. No early pools, nothing too cheesy yet, despite it being ZVZ and Overgrowth. The only cheesy thing here is my beans on toast, which got their little cameo just a minute ago on the stream. But either way, our first player up in the top right-hand corner here, representing Team All Inspiration and the colour yellow, gdoggcasey. And his opponent tonight is going to be spawning in the bottom left here. Currently teamless, and in the orange trunks, Gallahad. And I've been told as an interesting little fact just before the show started that Gallahad has in fact not lost a single game this entire season of ASL. So, despite actually being the currently ranked in Gold League against gdoggcasey, the Plat League player, he is statistically, or at least given his history in ASL, I think a little favoured even. Certainly he's got a very, very strong winning record. And I think that's reflected fairly well in his opening. He's got a pretty safe opening up, going for the pool first, then to gas. He's not overcommitting to anything, just trying to keep everything under control a bit, while gdoggcasey went for a hatch first and then followed up with a pool. Little bit greedy, but I mean, this does, given that Gallahad isn't actually going for anything overtly aggressive, this does leave gdoggcasey with a little bit of a lead, unless Gallahad can do something like that. Of course, there are a number of things Gallahad could do. He could just flood Lings in a couple of minutes' time after he gets his speed up, or indeed follow it up with Banelings. Just do some. He could do a lot of different things coming on. Neither of the players has really committed to any big tech choices or timings yet. It's all just pretty standard ZVZ at the minute. gdoggcasey has actually built 4 Lings as opposed to Gallahad's 2, and actually a little bit of engagement there. Galahad's slightly slow to respond, does lose one of his Lings, and sees gdoggcasey's coming across the map. 4 Lings is a little bit, I mean, you usually either go 2 or 4. Gallahad just went for 2. Building 4 more just to defend against gdoggcasey's Lings, make sure he doesn't take any damage whatsoever, and it's maintains his economy. And the Lings are going to run past. They do get into the main base. There's a queen in the main though, which will be able to drive them away, but not really before they actually get all the information there is to see. Really, they should have picked up in the gas timing as well. The pool, the fact that it was shimmering away. So, especially given that Gallahad has actually continued mining gas past 100, gdoggcasey should have a good idea if he did check that of when Galahad's speed should be hitting. And it looks like Gallahad is going to be building a few Lings following up after he gets his speed, so we could see a bit of aggression coming out of him now. He's just finished 10 Lings, 10 more on the way. But gdoggcasey is, in his typical fashion, getting 2 spine crawlers down the bottom of his ramp. He's really well defended. There's 2 queens on his blocking the ramp as well, each with enough energy for a transfuse. The 2 spine crawlers obviously pretty well positioned to defend the ramp. And now he's finishing up his, he's finishing a wall in across the neutral and repositioning his spine claws. gdoggcasey is looking very, very well placed to defend this aggression coming out of Gallahad. But we'll have to see how well he does. The Lings do come in. They're going to start poking away at that queen. They had to back off. 2 spine crawlers burrowed up, 2 queens behind it as well. Honestly, just gdoggcasey, it'd be a little risky, I guess. But the Lings run in again, but there's really nothing they can do here, especially not when they just run into the queens. If gdoggcasey wants to try and be really, really tricksy, he could swap out this slightly injured queen with high energy for the less injured queen with low energy. But that does leave you open for even if just for a second, and I guess doesn't want to take that risk. But Gallahad is not done yet. He's throwing down his Baneling nest, and I imagine he's going to morph up a ton of Banelings. He's got enough for about 6 Banelings, I think, right there. No, 12 Banelings. And yeah, we see 12 Banelings out there. 13 as the extra gas gets mined, and he can bust straight through gdoggcasey with that. I think he could actually go into the queens and bust down the Evo chamber and the Rotoron. Yeah, he could. So long as he doesn't lose any on the way, but we can see how effective it's going to be. Gallahad sends in the Banelings. One of them gets picked off immediately, but they do go through. Down goes Rotron, down go both the queens. As an added bonus, he can take some of the Broodlings in the Evo chamber, and now all the Lings are flooding in. The first queens, the first 2 queens have gone down. The third one's going to fall as well, along with the 2 spine crawlers. And now Gallahad has a clear route straight into the mineral line. A lot of the drones are going to be going down. gdoggcasey's panic building 24 lings just after the bust happened. But Gallahad is streaming more and more of his own lings across the map. He's going to be able to get a good surround on the lings that pop out from the natural before they can group up the lings with the main. And so Gallahad should be able to take the 2 fights pretty comfortably, or even just run around, because he has the speed up. gdoggcesey is desperately building 3 spine crawlers up at the top, but right now Gallahad's production is so far ahead of gdoggcesey's, because gdoggcasey doesn't have any queens anymore. Gallahad has the speed as well in his length, which really actually helps out a surprising amount just in standard one-on-one fights. But Gallahad starts tightening on the hatchery. He should be able to hold up the top of his ramp with his lings and his spine crawlers. And gdoggcesey can take the hatchery. He's got a hatch of his own. He can back off. Gallahad has a hatch of his own. He can in fact back off. He's already gone back to droning, getting down his Roach Warren, and he can transition into the mid-game with a pretty nice little lead. Slightly behind on drones, but given that all of gdoggcesey's drones are mining off one base, the income is really quite in favour of Gallahad. Pardon me. So there's really not much gdoggcesey can do just yet. He's going to be having his speed finishing up fairly shortly in his Baneling Nest, and when he does, he should be able to push back down and reclaim his natural. But until that time, Gallahad has complete map control. There's no way gdoggcesey can expand. He can try and tech up and get some roaches out, but in the number of lings that Gallahad still has left over, we'll be able to deal with as many roaches as gdoggcesey can realistically pump out quite comfortably. Certainly, in that Gallahad's getting his roaches out. I keep getting players mixed up because the production tab is the wrong way out. So Gallahad's actually building his roaches out. gdoggcesey, of course, lost his roach warren at the front, but now with 5 spine crawlers at the top of his ramp, he's very, very comfortable up here. It would be kind of nice to see him spread creep up to the ramp and burrow his spine crawlers up there. Then it'd be a lot safer when Gallahad decides to come up this ramp with his roaches. And it is going to be when, because Gallahad's roaches have arrived now, and he's going to start taking the fight. gdoggcesey backs off very wisely, good instant decision, and some more banelings are being morphed in. The banelings will still be good against the Zerglings. gdoggcesey is actually just going to run past. He's going to go straight for Gallahad's base and try and get some damage done there. If Gallahad reacts really quickly, he might be able to build a wall off, but actually it looks like he's just going to retreat back, get his queens back in, really, really fast positioning back onto the ramp, gets his inject first. And actually, gdoggcesey is just going to try to land down Gallahad's third base, and this will go down, but the problem is that, he's denied the third base while gdoggcesey is just taking his natural. So gdoggcesey is still quite far behind here. A lot of the lings trying to run past, trying to run around. Gallahad's slightly less mobile army. He still does have a few lings in it, but could have had some bigger baneling hits there, but it doesn't really matter. Gallahad trades pretty cost effectively against what gdoggcesey has anyway. And now I guess Gallahad feels relatively, oh my god, that's a lot of banelings. I guess Gallahad feels relatively comfortable in his defense at home, because he's just going to start moving back across the map. It looks like he did catch a bit of a baneling hit here in the middle, given there are a lot of dead lings and the like. But now gdoggcesey is moving in with a lot of banelings. Gallahad sees this, but how quickly does he react? It doesn't look like he's actually going to see it in time, and all the drones in the map will go down. The banelings are going to run around. I don't think they can bust through these queens, and there are 2 of them. No, none of them are going to make it into the mineral line. One of them will, but that doesn't really matter. Across the map, of course, Gallahad's roach force has arrived and denied the natural of gdoggcesey, and it's now going to march up the ramp. And the spine crawlers aren't in position to defend them getting up that ramp. They should be able to defend the base pretty well, but I don't know against this many roaches how effective they'll be. Gallahad's trying to come around and reposition against all these spine crawlers, but it looks like he's just going to back off. He can be pretty comfortable in containing gdoggcesey to one base. There's no Knives Network, no tricksy tech, no Mutalisks out or anything that can really catch Gallahad by surprise. And this base is mining out. There's only 200 to 300 minerals each of these patches. And gdoggcesey actually unburrows all his spines. If Gallahad catches this and jumps on it, he could do quite a bit of damage, but it looks like, unfortunately for him, he hasn't seen it. I like the choice of an extra hatchery in base by gdoggcesey. He's got way too many minerals, quite a bit too many gas, and he needs the extra hatchery to be producing some spare lings, some spare roaches off of, and Gallahad's trying to reinforce his roach count. So actually, he's actually building a proxy hatchery inside gdoggcasey's base, partly for mana hatch and partly, I think, for just slightly faster reinforcement production rate. But gdoggcasey now has a ton of spine claws there. How many is that? That's structures tab is 9 spine claws, and the roaches shouldn't really be breaking that anytime too soon. Although gdoggcasey is actually going to move forward. He sees the hatchery and is going to try and deny it. I think that's a little bit of a mistake. There's not much the hatchery can actually do for Gallahad right now. I mean, it's going to be difficult to poke into the spine claws either way, and gdoggcasey does lose a couple lings trying to get rid of that hatchery. So all in all, actually a really worthwhile investment for Gallahad. There's a few minerals to get a cancelled hatchery versus all the lings gdoggcasey lost defending it, and as he starts to mine out, he knows he can't continue on the game. GG. Okay, welcome to King Sejong Station. We've got game 2 already a little bit underway, and once again, no really fast early pulls, no cheese coming out of either of these two players. And actually very similar builds through game 1. gdoggcasey getting his hatch first up, and Gallahad going for a slightly more conservative pool first opening. A little bit safer, but not like an aggressive pool first. He's not banking too many minerals for banelings or anything. Zerglings or anything. He's just going to throw down his hatch as fast as he can after that pool, and try and get his macro going. Now, King Sejong Station's a similar map in some ways to Overgrowth in that it's single spawn. You know where your opponent is. If you want to do a 6 pull or a 10 pull, you know where to send the lings without having to drone scout or trying to hope your overlord goes to the right spot or something. But it's a much longer rush distance. So if cheese do come out, they take a little while long to get there. I think gdoggcasey's hatch first is going to be even safer, of course, on King Sejong, bit of a longer map. The Overlord pathing is also kind of interesting because it's a relatively close air-to-air rush distance, especially from the natural to the natural. The main to the main is still quite long, but natural to natural is much closer. Mutalisks can see quite a lot of play here because quite short air rush distances. The open air sort of space at the back of the natural can, really give Mutalisks a lot of opportunities to dart in, pick drones off, and then they can swing around and come into either via the left or the right hand path into the main base. They can swing around to the third base as well, swing between the main and the third quite easily. There's a lot of different things that make Mutalisks pretty good on this map. But gdoggcasey, once again, just going for 4 of his lings, going to try and get a scout off. No damage should be done here. There's 4 lings, or 6 lings even, and a queen for Gallahad. In fact, he might even be able to deny the lings from getting any scouting information, and he does very nicely. So 4 lings down for gdoggcasey for absolutely 0 benefit, other than, I guess, seeing his exponents expanded, which he's confirmed with his Overlord. He doesn't even get to count drones in the main base. He doesn't get to see the spawning pool or any of the gases, and incidentally both players are going for a gasless opener, which I really like. It allows you to get a lot of econ up. It's still fairly safe, especially on a map like King Sejong, where you can get a decent wall in off between your Vespene Geyser and your ramp, and have a gap on the back of your Vespene Geyser or stuff like that. It lets you go for roaches really quickly and get a really high roach count up because your econ is just powering through, and it looks like that's what Gallahad is choosing to do. On the other hand, with gdoggcasey, we see 4 extractors go down all at the same time, which is quite a heavy commitment to gas, and I'm really interested to see where he goes with this, because Gallahad is doing what I would call a more conventional gasless sort of transition into gas, where he just gets 2 in his main first, and they will likely see 2 in the natural at a later point, sometime after the layers started, because that is very likely to be the first thing 100 gas is spent on, that or units. there's not much use for speed. Since he's already got the roaches up, it looks like he's going straight for that. And Gallahad's gone for 1 extractor down the natural. And his hatchery. So we could also, the other thing that is slightly less popular from gasless opening, but is Muclisks. Muclisks, of course, I was talking earlier, they're a pretty good option in ZVZ. I don't think we're going to see Muclisks from Gallahad. We could well see them from gdoggcasey though, but actually no, we won't. Given that I've just looked at the position of the Evo chambers. These are Evo chambers purely for upgrading, not for walling off and safety. So looks like both players are just going to straight up roach each other, and that's always a good option when you're in ZVZ because roaches they're a good unit. They deal a decent bit of damage, they tank a decent bit of damage, and they're just pretty good all-round units. The thing about roaches in ZVZ, if your opponent's also going roaches, it very much becomes a sort of an economy battle. A battle of who has the biggest roach army. Concaves, micro, they matter a little bit, but really the upgrade advantage also can actually play a fairly big role. But really the biggest factor is just how many roaches you have, and the thing that decides that is how big your economy is. And at the minute, Gallahad is ahead in that regard, given that he has a slightly higher drone count. He's taking his third a little bit faster, and all that good stuff. He also will have an upgrade advantage because gdoggcasey is only upgrading from 1 of his Evos. I'm pretty sure he started from 2, but he's cancelled 1 of them. So I guess, did he see the 3rd base coming up for Gallahad? He's okay, so he's seen the 3rd base. I think he cancelled the upgrade, thought, right, instead of +1 defense, I'm going to cancel it. I'm going to get 150 gas back. That'll get me like 6 roaches, and I'll go from there. I'm going to try and cancel this natural. But Gallahad actually already has a pretty high roach count. In the unit counting station, gdoggcasey only has 3 more roaches than Gallahad, and that's nowhere near enough to provide the overwhelming advantage that gdoggcasey will need to crush Gallahad's forces and take the hatchery. When we consider that 7 more roaches are just popped from, or just about to pop for Gallahad, and whilst 8 are about to pop for gdoggcasey, they won't catch up in time for this fight. Gallahad, the defender's advantage, will be more than enough for him to secure his 3rd base and extend his lead in the game, given that gdoggcasey has already committed a fair amount to this attack. Upgrades to finish for Gallahad as well, giving him an advantage in that regard as well. The fight's going down here. The roaches are going to be spitting acid all over each other. Both players actually decide to disengage at the same time. gdoggcasey might be able to snipe this queen, which would be pretty nice. And I think that's... No, nice fuse is going to keep it alive. And yeah, gdoggcasey a couple of volleys onto that hatchery, and already Gallahad's army looks far more intimidating than gdoggcasey's. They're going to chase each other down. gdoggcasey does have roach speed, actually, which Gallahad doesn't. So if he's clever, he might be able to maneuver around. Sniping the roach one would be another big win, but I don't think it's worth the cost of all of his roaches, because he is going to lose them all now. He's killed the roach one, and he's going to trade off, for some of Gallahad's roaches. But at the end of the day, the unit's loss tab is now vastly in favor of Gallahad. He's already got the econ advantage. His roach production will be halted for another 20-30 seconds or so, but that's not going to be enough for gdoggcasey to actually press the advantage he has, the production advantage, because he lost so many of his roaches. Gallahad is still going to have a superior army. I would say the biggest positive for gdoggcasey to come out of that is that Gallahad now won't have roach speed for like ever. His roach one is just now finishing up, and he can start roach speed at it, and he does very nicely, sort of immediately timed. And gdoggcasey is still pouring roaches across the map. He does now have a roach advantage, but Gallahad is back to being able to produce roaches. He should be able to hold with the power of his queens and some transfuses. Anyway, the extra spine claws will help out immensely too. 10 more roaches going to be starting as well, and in 30 seconds time or so, they are going to be joining the fight. Maybe a little longer to actually get there. And gdoggcasey really shouldn't be able to press the issue of Gallahad's 3rd base. And the whole time gdoggcasey is not getting his 3rd base of his own, he's falling further and further behind in this game, and his chances of making it through look less and less likely. But he's going to try and move down the ramp into a big concave by Gallahad, has to move back up again, can't push down there just yet, and the 3 spine claws for Gallahad have finished up as well. 3 more are going to be just at least for now stopping gdoggcasey moving around as easily as he wants to, delaying him a bit while he target fires them down. They do all go down, but I mean it gives Gallahad enough time to reposition around. He's now trapping gdoggcasey's army a little bit. A few more of his roaches are going to go down. gdoggcasey turns around and fights, but it's a fight he's going to lose. Gallahad has more roaches. He's got roughly equal upgrades, and yeah, gdoggcasey does back on out of there. And, you know, the units lost tab. The lead is extending for Gallahad, so far as that the units lost tab story is being told. And now Gallahad's going to be finishing up his 2-2. Whilst gdoggcasey does have +2 attack, that's generally speaking cancelled out by the +1 armor upgrade, just because of how the maths works. Although you do get +2 per attack upgrade, the -1 it takes off, given how much health roaches have, actually does cancel out in terms of attacks needed to kill a roach. It gets a little bit funky with Zerg regen, but it's, you know, it's a rough guide. gdoggcasey is going to try and double expand, which is actually a move I really, really like. He needs to make some kind of big economic play to stay in the game, in, you know, the economic regard, and double expanding is something that could work off him. The problem will be he's still producing roaches as well at the same time. If he double expands, he needs to be, you know, going completely crazy. He needs to be going all out and thinking, right, if Gallahad attacks, I'm going to lose the game. If he doesn't attack and I get away with this double expand, the game will be even again and we can progress from there. But as it is, it looks like Gallahad is going to be moving across the map. gdoggcasey might be able to hold on to this because he has been producing the roaches, but this means that his economic gain is still going to be, you know, he's trying to split it half and half. He's building units and droning at the same time, which sort of gets him a bit of worst of both worlds, as well as the fact that he's going to lose quite a lot of these overlords here, as Gallahad's Hydelists move out onto the map, and it's going to be really tough for gdoggcasey to hold on to, at the very least, this 4th base, and possibly in the game. Gallahad's just going to move straight on up the ramp, moves back down, wants to be a little bit careful. gdoggcasey does have quite a lot of concave up there, but actually gdoggcasey not really taking care of his army enough. A lot of it does end up going down the ramp and losing to the army of Gallahad, and actually Gallahad takes the game. He won't, is our player in the top left-hand corner. Spawning in the purple, I do think Zerg looks good in purple, and representing team All Inspiration, we have gdoggcasey. I see chat cheering for him. Or at least one guy in chat cheering for him, and he does need it, because as I said before, if he loses this, he is out. Then the player down the bottom right is going to be his opponent for this game. So it's showing some pretty strong play in the first couple games. It is our orange Zerg player, Gallahad. And I mean, it looks like the players are fairly sort of, I guess, ambivalent about what map they're on. They have their openings they like and they stick to them. And gdoggcasey, oh, pardon me, they're the beans. gdoggcasey's apparently is hatch first, whereas Gallahad likes his, you know, slightly more safer pool openings. And I guess if you feel like you're favored against an opponent, it's generally best to play it safe, because then you're not going to get caught off by any crazy cheeses, and any possible macro advantage they could have will be outweighed by, you know, you being a stronger player. So I think this is a really good choice from Gallahad if he feels confident enough in his macro, obviously, to take games off gdoggcasey, and as well he should. There's been a macro game he's, you know, been very comfortable in, and another game he macroed up pretty nicely before doing a big Ling Bane bust. And yeah, it's going to be tough. gdoggcasey will have to win 3 games in a row if he actually wants to advance out, but he could do it. It's possible. Anything could happen. Either way, both players getting their naturals up now. Gallahad, of course, down just a couple of drones because of that faster pool. Slightly, or he's got the gas as well, which will cost him another drone. And gdoggcasey once again going for a gasless opener, which will play out interestingly. Very nicely, Gallahad manages, to deny the scout again for the first lane, and the second set of lanes also won't make it past his watchful eyes. So once again, gdoggcasey is playing completely blind. He doesn't know if his opponent has got gas or not. He doesn't know what the drone count's looking like in the main. And I mean, he doesn't really know anything. I mean, he knows the lings and queen count, and he knows there's a fair few drones at the natural. But this isn't the important information that he wants. So Gallahad's going to be getting his second extractor there, whilst gdoggcasey takes all 4 at the same time. Looking like, so far, the same sort of thing he went for on King Sejong. So we could see that similar 2-base roach play come out from him again, but I don't think it would be a great choice on Deadwing. It's actually even easier on Deadwing to defend your 3rd than it is on King Sejong, not only because of the increased rust distance, which is only built upon by the fact they're spawning cross positions, but because of the layout of the map, as we're seeing here. There's that ramp up into the 3rd base that makes it much easier to defend. You can set up a nice concave at the top of the ramp, and it's difficult for your opponent to push up because they have to fight against the high ground disadvantage and the fact that it's a bit of a choke. But I don't know. I kind of prefer to see gdoggcasey just go for a pretty safe expand with roaches. But we'll see. Anything can happen. And gdoggcasey is going to get his wall in up this time, which is really nice to see. He was missing it a bit on King Sejong, but it was kind of okay because he would have been able to defend most kinds of pressure with the fact that he was getting roaches from his own sort of little all-in push. And it looks like Gallahad is actually going for a Spire. Oh, wow. This is cool. gdoggcasey's built a Spore Crawler. It's going to be burrowing under Gallahad's Overlords just down by the 3rd base here. And it's fight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's down. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Gallahad's not very happy. I want to see where this Spore Crawler goes. The really interesting thing as well is that gdoggcasey has a Spore Crawler, and Gallahad now knows about this. So even if his muters go completely unscouted, there will be that Spore Crawler that will provide a safe haven for gdoggcasey, just because he built it to kill a couple Overlords. So I think that Spore Crawler is a really cool little addition there by gdoggcasey. Either way, it looks like Gallahad is going to build a bunch of spines just to defend his 3rd base. This is a pretty good decision when he's going muteless because he doesn't have the roaches, he doesn't have lings or anything. And a common response to some unscouted muters showing up on your mineral line is to go, well, I've got a lot of roaches and you've got a lot of mutalisks, but what do you have back at your base to actually stop me marching over there and killing it? And so you quite often see players just building more and more roaches, flooding some lings, and going across and completely annihilating the player who's going muter's economy, just because muters don't kill roaches very fast. But we'll see whether or not we see that here. As I said, Gallahad is building those spine crawlers in anticipation of that. So gdoggcasey does decide to go for it. I'm not sure how effective it will be. Either way, Gallahad, 10 mutalisks coming out pretty much immediately. It looks like next couple will be popping here. So yeah, actually no upgrade for the mutalisks, which to me would indicate that he's not really planning to take them very far. Just get a few mutalisks out for a bit of harassment and see what he can get done with them. It'll be a little bit difficult to sneak them around. There's quite a lot of Overlords out on the map for gdoggcasey, but they can just provide targets. I mean, they're all quite far away from gdoggcasey's base. Galahad could choose to just go straight past the Overlords, and it looks like he's going to take some of them out. I kind of prefer him to go just straight to gdoggcasey's base, try and get some damage done there. And when the Spore Crawlers come down, or when they've finished up, he can always run back and pick off the Overlords then, because, I mean, they're not getting away. Slowest unit in the game versus fastest unit in the game. Well, that's not true, but one of the slowest units in the game versus one of the fastest. And it looks like Galahad's just actually going to go for the guaranteed damage. He knows he can kill these Overlords. He knows he won't lose any Mutalisks doing it. And he has, in fact, already forced a fairly significant response from gdoggcasey. Not so much in the form of the hive list we see in the production tab right now, but in the form of the 5 Spore Crawlers we saw in the production tab just a minute ago. That's already 5 workers down, based on where gdoggcasey wanted to be if he hadn't seen the Mutalisks. And surprise, surprise, we actually see Galahad's 7 workers ahead. So just expanding on a little bit of the lead he had anyway. And now Gallahad can run around the Mutalisks. There are always angles to do damage with these kinds of units. There's angles he can get a shot on both of these extractors from different angles, of course. That we saw right there at the third base, and take them out. Losing the gas would be really harmful for gdoggcasey because he needs those hive lists so he can actually be able to push out on the map eventually. Here we see Gallahad's going to come in. He's going to find this. He's going to find the extractor, do some damage to it. He can always come back and kill it later. Going to find a couple of overlords as well. Mutalisks are so fast he can just be darting around. Comes back to the extractor, takes it out. Takes a shot from a spore crawler, but that is fine. And yeah, oh look, here's another overlord or two. Overseers even. Yum yum, tasty tasty. Careful with those idlers though. So yeah, actually really good damage done by these Mutalisks so far. I think one's gone down. Yeah, one's gone down, but he's still a pretty comfortable count. 13 Mutalisks. It's quite a lot of Mutalisks. Somebody who isn't just going lots and lots of Mutalisks, but looks like gdoggcasey is now going to be. He's had enough of the Mutalisks. He's moving across the map and wants to put a stop to all this by just killing Gallahad's base. But I mean, seeing those spine crawlers, nothing's happening out there. He has to try and go up the rocks. Some of the spine crawlers could reposition. I'd like to see sort of 3 split up to the reps. It looks like gdoggcasey is actually going to try and come out the back and surround Gallahad's army. Sorry, Gallahad's going to do that to gdoggcasey, and he's going to actually right on top of the Hydralisks, which is quite important. The Hydralisks actually beat Roaches 1 versus 1, but Gallahad's actually target firing down his rock, so a couple valuable seconds those Hydralisks are taking no damage, but now the Hydralisks are all falling, they're all in front. Gallahad's got a great surround on all the units, the drones are coming off the line as well. gdoggcasey says GG, Gallahad takes it 3-0, continuing on his undefeated score so far in the ASL.